he had texted me and said, "Hey, mate, do you want to speak at the AI Summit?" And I said, yeah, let me think about it. What about I co-do it with Heather? And he just interviewed me and Heather for a magazine. So it was like within context. And then he comes back to me and he's like, "Sweet as, bro." And I'm like, that's how people speak to me because that's how I speak. But I thought nothing of it. Turns out he thought he was messaging Dana.
What does it mean to have a human in the loop?
Human in the loop. Human in the loop. What in the world is a human in the loop? Human in the loop.
AI in the loop. Humans in charge.
Welcome to Human in the Loop.
So today we have with us Simon Cope, who is a senior lecturer in marketing at Massey University's Auckland campus and a digital marketer with over 30 years of industry experience. And I was just sharing with these guys that I met Simon at a B2B AI event last year, courtesy of the Marketing Association. Shout out. At Massey, Simon teaches across undergraduate and postgraduate programs, including the MBA, digital, social, and omnichannel marketing, and earned Lecturer of the Year. And I've had the privilege of sitting in one of your classes, and maybe one day I'll take one. Good. His research and teaching expertise spans online conversion strategies, offline to online customer acquisition, integrated e-commerce, and all focused on helping businesses get customers to stay, pay, and refer. So welcome to
Thank you.
Human in the Loop.
Great to be here.
You are experienced in retail, you're experienced in advertising, but I'm going to start off thinking about education. We spoke to someone last year about the impact of AI on education, but that was very much from an early childhood point of view and maybe up to primary. We are so sure it's obvious that the way it's impacting tertiary must be massive. But can you share a little bit about what you're seeing in the tertiary world and how AI has changed things, especially over the last couple of years with LLMs?
Sure. So we've seen that whole thing of the students saying to us, no, I didn't use AI, when we've asked them to use it and to declare that, and they just blatantly lie. And then we're saying, but we've said in this assignment or in this assignment, Albany is an area because we use actual businesses for our case studies or actual businesses that we're working on in the business school. And the students like, yeah. But I said, but why is it Albany in Canada?
Oh, no.
Mic drop. Yeah, sort of type of situation through to just words. It's like, oh, could you just tell us a little bit about what you are talking about here? Because I'm really impressed with what you've got written here. And they just can't answer it. And so so we started failing people based on that. Or at first initially was massive warning, first assignment gone. Yeah, please, could you engage with us a bit more? Maybe use the textbook. In the first year, we wrote the textbook. My co-worker, Terry, created the textbook. And so then all these answers we got coming through are from Kotler and quoting Kotler. And it's like, Kotler is the, guy in marketing that you would know. And this guy's called Terry McPherson. Why are you quoting Kotler? And when you query AI, Kotler is what it was taught on. And so it's like these obvious things. But we have had this thing over decades that I've been there, where previously it would be like a assignment mill, based out of India or whatever, and they would go and you'd give them the specifications and they would write the assignments. And if you're a lazy student, then you are lazy in that you don't even read what these other people wrote. And it's the same with AI. So we would get an assignment, you'd be reading the assignment with, square bracket, insert name here, or, put your ID here in these ones that were written by competent PhD people, typically overseas. They were good assignments. It's just
Wrong topic.
wrong topic or wrong location or off topic,
Yeah.
or the student didn't take it as a draft
Yeah.
and then, scaffold from that. So this is the same thing we're seeing come through with AI now. So
Have you seen a shift in bell curve for failure rates or pass rates or anything? Because
At-
when I was at uni, that same dumb shit happened as well. It was
Yeah.
just a different kind of dumb shit.
Exactly. So initially, if we've seen in some of the schools or some of the topics, huge shift to high A pluses and things like think mathematical related topics, even though AI can't add up for shit basically a lot of the time I found. But but in our school it was we were whacking them quite a lot, so that dropped them a lot. So what we've done now is I'm fortunate enough to teach across first year, second year, third year. So we've scaffolded that a lot more. And so that's worked out really well. So now what we're doing in first year was, okay, we've got to get you through this topic. Yes, we understand this is a core topic. For many of you, you do not want to do this topic again. We understand that you're going into a finance major, you're going into building, you're going into whatever, and this is a marketing topic. We just want you to know some building blocks, if nothing else, so that you can promote yourself, brand you.
Yeah.
So we're not going to focus so much on how much AI you're going to use, but you're going to have to be able to show us that you've got some form of human in the loop in some way here. So just be a little bit more smarter, because we are here to train you for when you leave, and when you leave, this is going to be ruthless. So we're still playing around with the first year, because they're coming through from secondary school where some schools are like completely ignoring AI.
Right.
Others are allowing them to use it a lot, and some of them are making big efforts to try and get them to think and use their brain as they're doing that. So it's really mixed bag of who comes in. And then, of course, we have well over 50% of our students, especially international, coming in English as a second language. And so you've got these loopholes in any sort of policy of, well, naturally, if my primary language was anything but English, I'm going to be conversing with AI or with my friends who are also from that area in my own language, aren't we? And if I'm writing notes and things like that, we just never saw any of that.
Yeah.
They're writing all that, and then you allow them to use AI. What they then do is say that AI convert that to English.
Right.
So this is great for them. So they write it all. They're doing their thinking, and they're genuinely, trying to be as honest as possible with this. Majority of them, and then they convert to English, and the English is, of course, grammatically correct. It's well structured. Probably inserts a little bit more understanding in there, because it's taking their draft notes and their English, or their version of whatever the assignment's about. However, that identified is, especially when we get to second year and postgrad, like the class you came into, is for the rest of us around the table who brought up totally in English, is that we're there struggling away in English, trying to do this stuff, and the AI doesn't do that natural thing of improvement when you convert from one language to the other. You have to ask it to do that if you want to do that. And so I found there's this discrepancy between, hey, wait a minute, well, this group of people are doing really, really well with the output, and they couldn't express it very well verbally, but they could write things. So what I've done now is I now get them to, well, the university first has a policy that they must declare absolutely which engines, which LLMs they're using, and we give them some levels of how they could use them. So planning is the first level, which is, like I said, we found you could drive a truck through it. Yes, but because of that thing, just with that thing like that, and where does Albany students were Bonnie? Yeah, Albany. And where does planning start and stop? Really, I'm planning to get an A. I'm planning to whatever. And so in their head, so that's out the window. So the next level is collaboration, which is a much better one that I like. And what I do there is the students now, with the tools that we've got, is just either a plugin, is they must give us a complete transcript of everything.
Wow. Like their chats?
All their chats.
Wow.
Including, like I discovered the other day with, how did you create that PowerPoint presentation? because I had one student going, no, I'd created that. And it's like, and I'm zooming onto a slide and it's got, a staircase and it's got these people climbing the staircase and this thing, think of it from a,
Yeah.
and then I looked at it and each piece of that human was made out of individual pieces that had been put together. It wasn't individual, because it had built this thing,
Wow.
and it's like, oh, tell me how you did that and how much time did it take just for this one slide to create all these little people, because it was like thousands of little pieces in there. I used AI. It's like, great. So I need you to declare some of these things because I mean everything looks so good now. And so now with what I'm doing is I've got this 70-30 rule. So 70% of an assignment is the process that you go through and 30% is the final output. And I'm being grounded on a real business. So for the moment, my students are working with Devonport Dogs in my second year digital class. So it's a real business who does dog walking type things, farm dog ventures sort of type thing. And so with that first assignment, what's a buyer persona, customer journey mapping, and understanding the client, are they based in Melbourne? What's the profile of Devonport?
Who is the president of Canada?
Yeah, who's the president of Canada? Yes.
Is it still Trudeau?
Yes, exactly. Who's he going out with at the moment?
Where can I get my sled dog groomed?
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's changed with that. So I'm getting them to really provide this entire dump of all the AI. The university says you've got to give us this document saying yes or no of how you're using AI, and if you say no, then you better not be using it. Otherwise, we're just going to say, well, that's a 0 for that assignment. And then, of course, and then I'm built in masterclasses into those assignments of how to actually use it with human in the loop. So that you've got that critical thinking process going. And that has been really amazing how it's changed. So this is my second year of doing that. And all of a sudden, because I take their entire dump, and of course I put that into AI and say to AI, translate this.
Yeah. Do you declare how you mark with AI?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes. So I'm not marking. All I'm doing is, I'm not allowed to mark per se. I'm not allowed to give a grade and get AI to do a grade. That's a whole grey area that we're all going to have to work through. But definitely with students demand feedback, and with AI we can give really good feedback now. And part of the process of that is obviously teaching it. This is what I've given previously in feedback. This is da-da-da-da. And then, but more the interesting thing is now if the student deliberately removes parts of those conversations where they've gone off and done something over here that I'll just go open a new chat, go ask some questions over here, get that, put that back in, that then appears in the assignment and is not in the chat, or there's no scaffolding in the chat. And it's like the AI goes, questionable, what's going on here? And so I can flag it. And I can't necessarily, just like in the old days, I can't necessarily, are they lying, are they not? It's a grey area, but I can say, we're watching, Big Brother's watching. So it's an interesting thing, but the output is lifted.
It's such a strange thing, like the purpose of a degree and what kind of, like, I can guess, and maybe you could give an educated guess from your side, why do people get degrees now? Or what are the fields that are demanding of a degree versus ones that were like a nice to have? I mean, when I went to university, coming from a generation of parents who didn't go to university, and it was the thing that you did. It was just the thing that you did. It was an opportunity. Nearly everybody I know went on to some kind of tertiary if they didn't go overseas first. You guys were in computer science, so that was probably more, well, Hamish was there until he felt like he could teach the class.
Yeah, I didn't finish.
I didn't go to any lectures.
Yeah.
I went to no lectures.
Yeah.
Went to the first year lectures, fell asleep in the front row. Lecturer got sick of me and took me on the front of class.
Yeah.
I
There was
just kept
definitely
going, and then the dean talked to me, and then I stopped going, and I got pretty much straight A's, second, third, and fourth year, because I was like, yeah, style doesn't
It doesn't gel with you.
Yeah.
yeah, it was this yeah, this is yeah, don't take this the wrong way, but it was basically it was a uniform education system,
Yes.
and I entered it
Trying to put
and
it
I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're around.
Like-
You're trying to put it in the square hole.
yeah, the first assignment, a funny story, first assignment I handed in comp sci, you had to create a simple ASCII art, so the little staircase
Yes,
built up
yes,
of
yes, yes.
other characters. I had learned to program years before, so I did the assignment in about 20 minutes, and I took like a JPEG of the Linux penguin, and it rendered it out. Like I wrote code that would read the JPEG and render it out, and I got a 0 for the assignment, because the lecturer was like, "You cheated," and I was like, "Nah, I didn't." And I got brought up to the lecturer's room, and I was like, "Ask me anything you want," and he's like, "Rewrite it," and I wrote it again in about 15 minutes. And he's like, "Oh, you memorized?" I'm like, "Dude, like, I'm not gonna."
Again, does it
Yeah.
even matter, right?
Yeah, I was like, "I'm not gonna stand here and prove that I know how to program." Like, I talked to any one of my friends. Like one of my best mates, Kerry, was there. He's like, "Yeah, he can program."
Yeah.
And it was just at that point I had completely lost it. And that was comp sci 101, and I was at the third week of uni. At that point, I was like, "Oh, this is not for me,"
Right.
but I need to get through it.
I need that. I need that. Those letters after my name, sort of.
Yeah, I'd made a
Well, I
commitment.
thought that I needed.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a certain participation that you have to have even in society, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to be outside of society, like norms. People quickly assess whether or not you can do a thing if you've got a degree or experience or passion in something. So, you know, I understood why you needed the degree. I just was like, oh, this is not really for me.
In comp sci at the time was particularly difficult. I'm sure it's a problem for all degrees, but the difference in capability of people entering that program was from like people like me and you who had already been doing programming for 10 years by that point, and people who literally had never touched a computer before.
Yeah.
And were like, "What's a mouse? And what do you mean by and were just how had they even gotten into that paper? Very unclear, right? And so yeah, I had a very similar thing where like I when I first sat down, I was like, none of my teachers are teaching me anything that I don't already know and know better, right? And so yeah, there were I'd reduce the number of papers I went to, and then a couple, especially my math paper, I'd go in like a month later and I'd be like, oh, I missed the date that it was transitioned from stuff I knew to stuff I didn't know because I
Yeah.
don't know any of this shit anymore.
Yeah. There was one class, domain relational calculus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The lecturer used to just print out his own book.
Yeah.
But he would like print it, and it was so boring. Like,
Yeah.
it was unbearably boring. And it would be like regular expressions, which is like circular graph theory. And he'd just be like, talking in all of the official terminology. So he'd use the full word automaton like every single time. And he was like a Kazakhstani math genius. I swear he was part of the Soviet nuclear program. And it was just like,
So you
I was
see him.
like, oh my God, I don't know how many times I can fail this paper, but and it was just such a I think about how uni would have gone had I had AI, and that paper comes to mind every single time because I understood all the concepts. I just didn't understand how he's explaining them. And then
And you could use that AI
Yeah.
too of just, oh my goodness.
yeah, and there's a thing, some people you meet and you don't quite understand what they're saying. I don't know if that happens to everybody, but yeah, there's like this disconnect, right? Like
Yeah,
some people you completely understand and gel with, and then some people you just don't understand. He was thinking on a completely abstract plane where, half the class was glazed over, and he, all he sees is a girl in a red dress kind of shit. And the questions that we got in the exam were phrased the same way. They had absolutely no practical application. So it was like A transitive B transitive C equals this with a circular automaton, blah, 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 blah. And the way that a lot of people learn is like, here's an analogy.
Yes.
Here's the theory. Here's the analogy. Here's how the analogy plays out against the theory. And here's a practical application.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because of relatability. But the variability, and our best lecturer, this Iraqi lecturer, Mortiza Beglari, we went through an entire course, and we started with one gate, and we ended up by the end of the course, integer adder. So we built a chip over the entire course. And he was just like, he took his time, he explained everything, used the analogy thing every single class. He didn't try and make you like force feed the entire thing, which was a completely different style to how that other lecturer, he
Gotcha.
just
Crawling
slammed the book.
first.
Yeah, he
The
just
inside,
smacked
but
you in the
walking.
face. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a scene in
Fantastic.
Street Kings where Keanu Reeves hits the game with a phone book. And that's the analogy I want to use for that class. Basically, the lecturer just got a phone book and smacked you in the face.
But did you guys start a degree, whether you finished or not, with the purpose of getting a job, or like that was the field you wanted to end up in, right? Did you think you needed a degree to get the jobs you ended up getting? Oh, you just started your own business. So.
That's sort of when I started. I mean, I did 2 years of engineering intermediate straight out of school and failed. I got
Engineering?
one.
What
Yeah.
kind of engineering?
Well, I wasn't really sure which type of engineering.
Oh, you
But I just wanted to do, you had to do an intermediate year, which was like a pre before you then
Yeah.
chose which direction. But yeah, I got one paper that was a calculus paper in the 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Do you think the end of high school is
that was
too?
Engineering, if you want to go into like physical engineering, I think there are like legislative requirements in terms of your degrees and things, right? Like
Yeah.
people who are designing buildings or bridges or doing, civil engineering and things, there is legislative requirements on who is allowed to call themselves an engineer and do engineering. And that's not the case with computer science. Anybody can say yes, Sarah.
Which might be why we're in this realm of just completely
AI slop.
Yes, yes and no, but
Yeah.
there is if we did computer programming the way that engineers do physical design, our software would be so basic.
Yeah, true.
Like we would not have most of the capabilities we have now, just because of the interconnectedness of all the systems.
and all the documentation.
It's so complicated,
Yeah.
and like the number of like the way that web browsers interact with the internet, I just like you couldn't get that through a design process.
Or just open source software. You would never take an open source truss. It was
Yeah,
built
yeah,
by
yeah.
somebody else and
Yeah.
jab it into a bridge.
Yeah. And so like that's the trade-off. Like you've got all this cool shit, but it breaks sometimes.
Yeah. All right, I think I've told you this before. At
The
the end,
Boeing 737 Max, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a failure of. I mean, I guess that's even when you have all this process,
Yes.
somebody forgets to put a bolt in, somebody else forgets to check,
yeah.
and then
Oh, that thing was flawed by design. Like,
yeah,
that
the
didn't
Max,
follow
yeah,
a
not the door.
single.
Yeah.
Well, the door was the small problem. The single AOA sensor was the big
Yes,
problem.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
that was all corporate incentives. You want to get me on a whole capitalism is bad rant again?
No.
I was trying for it.
I think I've told you this before. At the end of my 7th form year, I was choosing between a civil engineering degree and art. And much to my parents, like wonderful that they supported me. But there was a lot of eyebrow raising. I went into a Bachelor of Fine Art, and there is not a job waiting for you. There's not even a sniff of a job. And the weirdest thing was, and you've
Somebody
actually
else
wanted
at
to be
the
an
start of the
artist. I don't know. I mean, this is not my trauma therapy session, so I won't even go into why. But
There's a couch there.
I'll just go lay down. I have never felt the impact of my degree's value as much as I have in the last couple of years. The conversations that we have here about where technology and humanity intersect, the philosophy, the way to look at the world, because my entire degree was a combination of physical workshopping. You're making, you're printing, you're sculpting, you're physically doing stuff. The other half was sitting through philosophy lectures, learning about semiotics and semantics and Lacan theory and Steiner theory and all of these things. And then you have to write these long essays to justify the reasoning behind your art. And especially I was a sculpture major, so it's like the most conceptual type of art. And that way of seeing the world, it was like it was like pattern recognition on steroids, because what you come out with is this incredibly honed critical thinking, because also every week we would have crats and you sit down and you discuss and you're analyzing someone else's work from this angle and that angle, and everyone got 45 minutes where you all sit around as a small group of people and pick their work apart and try to find ways to improve it. And so I've been thinking a lot about a degree that has like a hand-in capability. You're sending your work through. Is the requirement to like defend in person increasing? Talk us through this thing.
Absolutely.
It's now worth more that you can explain your reasoning than it is to be able to submit it and have it marked. And is that an unfair thing when people, English isn't their first language, or they are nervous speakers? How's that balance shaping up now?
yeah, so you've hit on a number of, so let's just go to that MBA level. It's absolutely mandatory that um, these students who are doing MBA level have to be able to do some form of oral communication. And we have built into those programs that ability to defend and to be able to pitch as well. So both pitch and then back comes the questions and things like that. So that is something that everybody pretty much hates along the lines of die. I'd rather die. It's like oral speaking or your public speaking. So that is something definitely that we have really brought into the MBA level, because that's just industry just demands that. As if you're going to be in that role of responsibility or want to be in that role, you have to be able to articulate what you're trying to get across and then defend it well. When we go to undergrad, we are starting to bring that. There's everybody at the moment is experimenting with how do we assess what is the final grade the student's going to get. And one of them is one of my colleagues, Bodo, what he's doing is that 10-minute oral exam. And he's told them right at the beginning, week 1, this is what's coming. If you just rely on, your AI to do all the things, well, you're going to be stuffed at the end. But what he's found is the students have risen to the challenge, and they're mixed both English second language and native speakers. And so this is he's finding it really satisfying, because he's basically in 5 minutes he can determine whether they know the topic. And he's then just created, probably with AI, I don't know, I haven't asked him, and I'm assuming that, a series of questions that just slowly ramp it up. And then and that's helping him work out the grade because of the depth of what they can do. And it's, face to face. And he's even now doing it through, with the students, a distance student, since we've got a lot of distance students. You can obviously see if they're looking into the camera or whatever. And it's working really well. So unless they've got, their glasses have got picking up what he's saying, quickly running it through AI, which will come eventually, and then running on a heads-up display on their glasses or on the screen, maybe. But so far, that's not obvious. But yes,
And that brings me back to, it's like, what's the purpose of your degree? I mean, if you're going to go that hard to cheat to get a degree and then fail in your job, that's an embarrassment for everybody. Like, why would you waste?
But it
that
doesn't
time?
correlate. Like, I've had friends who got C's all the way through. They're just
C's equals degrees, they say, some of them.
they're quite successful. They're quite capable. Because they didn't throw everything into the I need to get perfect grades and stuff.
And I find
actually life is all about kind of resilience.
It depends on, I mean, in terms of taking it back to the question, what's the purpose of a degree? It depends on the student, right? Because even in computer science, like at the time when I was doing it, there was no real clear path into getting a computer science degree. I was not doing a degree to get a job. But if you want a job in Google, then you have to get within the top 10% within 10 universities in America. They only take it from those 10 universities.
That's where you want to go. That's your
I think it's a New Zealand. It might be a New Zealand or a small market nuance where here there's we just don't we don't have a big funnel for recruitment, whereas Google probably hoovers up 10,000 people a year.
But they're super specific. And same thing with if you want to work at one of the top, like at McKinsey or one of these consultants, they have very specific universities and they're very focused on your grades. If you want to work in the civil service in India or a lot of developing nations, where that's one of the most safe jobs, right? Like you get a pension guaranteed after 50. It's a pretty high reputation job that's theoretically accessible to everybody. Well, that's all driven off university scores as well. So there are lots of commercial outcomes that people might be going for that tie to university score, which I think you're pointing at, I think is broken. That's a bad way of assessing people, whether they can do the job and whether they're going to succeed is based on the score that they get in this relatively made up process, right? You try to improve it all the time, but you are sort of tuning the rules all the time to be this feels like it's working and this feels like it's not working.
Yeah, ever since the pandemic, what's been happening in the tertiary space has had to shift. I mean, to move assessment and teaching to online, and now to go through a second wave of massive upheaval. I can only imagine that the conversations happening at the high level of a university is, how do we continue to prove our value and stay relevant in a world which is shifting so rapidly? My kids were watching an episode of The Simpsons yesterday, and Lisa goes to like a tech fest or like a startup thing, and I think she was trying to inspire, who's the kid that beats everyone up? Nelson.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's like, I want to introduce you to all these amazing people, and like, so that you stay in school. And he goes around all of these booths, and they're like, yeah, dropped out, entrepreneur. And so she was like, how do I continue to impress that a lifelong love of learning and staying in school is the right way to go? So what's your vote for it? Like, what would your pitch be in this day and age? The vote for continued learning, especially after high
It's
school.
absolutely mandatory. And there's my problem in that the students don't realize, like when I'm giving them, crafting them the stuff and taking all these hours to way over the hours that I should be putting into creating an assignment or scaffolding or creating these masterclasses for them. And I'm saying to them, you please like take a copy of this, download this page, this course, all my videos or whatever. And then once you've graduated, if you do go into this field at all or you go work, you're going to need it again, because all of a sudden you're going to realize that what you don't know that you don't know back now is going to be all of a sudden hit you, because the business wants you to be able to think, and the business wants you to get up to speed really fast, because they're not adding more people to a business. And there's lots of stories of people talking about, cutting up that bottom level. So if you've got a job, then you must be able to use these tools. So I'm always saying to them, it's lifelong. This is the beginning of a very long journey. And I point to myself where that has been my life of, going from electrician to electronics technician to, a number of startups, fail, lose, money in one, make millions in others. But the point being is that I'm constantly learning either from my mistakes. One of my sayings is, failing is data.
Yeah.
You've got to learn from it. It's not a shame. It's not something to be ashamed of. It is something to learn from. But it's so hard to get, because there's all these different students that come in, to go back to your other question, why are they doing the degree? I want residency. My parents are paying me to do this. And they expect me to do this. Like, your parents could have easily said to you, no, you are doing that engineering degree. You are not. And there's a lot of my students that are like,
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. My degree was kind of not optional.
yeah, well, that's right, exactly. So there's parents, and depending on
I'm like, all right, I'll get it, but like,
and
not
just
how you
because
think
of
I'm
your
going to get it.
cultural background that
yeah.
could be really like, son.
Yep.
Yep.
You have to walk away with a degree, and
degree.
it can't be in arts. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
What's wrong with that?
It's going to be in this narrow.
You got three options.
I'm just having this like parallel side imagination of if you went into like medicine and you being like a doctor on the pit, you're like roll up your sleeves coming into an emergency department, tap tap.
I would kill people instantly. I should not be a doctor.
You don't deserve to live.
No.
Maybe not that.
Probably just forget to show up to work, probably. Yeah. Or
The
like,
problem is too gross. It'll probably be fine.
Years, that's right. Know yourself. Yeah, so there's quite a number, and we all come from our different backgrounds with but there's many reasons people are there, and then there's just as many reasons for people who don't do the degree, but seem to have a thirst for knowledge anyway. So, but it's really complicated.
It's probably one of the differences with computer science and some other subjects, right? Which is that you can do most learning yourself. Like, it doesn't need a lot of complicated
it's probably the
equipment.
most accessible.
If you're doing physics, you can't really build a particle accelerator at home. They don't sell them on AliExpress, right? If you're doing
Have you
fine
checked?
art, But like there's like equipment and training and tutors that are physically in person that have value that you don't when you're online, right? But with computer science,
Yeah, it was
you
just
just need a computer and the
some
internet,
assembly
and
required. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was
Which is
in the
required.
field. It was in the field of the internet, so all the information lived on the internet. So it was like, well, yeah. I mean, I ended up learning a lot from the textbooks. So I would not go to lectures, and then about 5 or 6 weeks before the exam, I would just read the course textbook, and then do a whole bunch of exam papers, and then show up and be fine. But the textbooks, huge value in the textbooks.
Yeah. The problem with self-directed learning, though, it's a good accompaniment to a formal learning framework, because if you completely self-direct, there are all of these ways in which you might not push yourself, like public speaking, or having to do coursework in a collaborative team that might include people that you don't really would have chosen, and those are the things that you're expected to do in a job, and not everyone brings those naturally. I have my fingers crossed here because I'm going to pick up something you said just before and provoke it a little bit. Failure is data.
Yes.
But when you're in high school and in university, failure is failure. And you're on a time limit to achieve, right? So the tolerance for failure that we sometimes are afforded in a workplace, or when you have a team around you, or you get to try again, those things I feel like I've accepted as an adult, but they weren't highly embedded, especially in high school.
Especially I mean, they
it
like
was
giving
the-
us certificates
the
for
judgment
failing.
from
You get
teachers,
you
there's
get
the
a certificate
judgment
for
from
coming last.
peers. You get streamed down a class.
Yes.
You fail this thing, you're not allowed to be in a sports team. So there are all of these punishments for failure when you're a kid, and it's a maybe it's changing a little bit, but it's unfortunate because you have a year to pass your degree. And so how do you embed a learning failure
Ethos.
data ethos into students who are also like, if I don't pass this year, my degree is at risk?
So I guess that comes down to more of a philosophy of the teacher, I think, and that's part of my philosophy, is to try and nurture in some way. So the one thing that I have to keep reminding the students is, if you go dark on me, I have no idea what's going on. I know I say, and I try and humorize it by saying, my wife can read my mind, but I can't read yours, sort of type thing. You must reach out. And if they reach out, I will bend over backward for them. And that's the
why
way.
he's the lecturer of the year, folks.
Because there is that thing, because having me failed those 2 years back in the day, I had this just aspirational teacher when I was in Form 2, which, for the people in the audience that don't remember that was like when you were 12. He said to me, and I was disruptive, I tell you, I was very disruptive in primary school and secondary school. So it was like, you are never going to go to university, Simon. You are going to be a failure in life, and you are just, like that whole, thing. And
Everyone's got a story like that.
I was
I will be
here's
a
the two
doctor.
versions, mate. But others in the class who did the same thing, some of those I've watched them now, and they were some of the brightest students in the class, but and some of them, they are struggling in today's world. Whereas I took that as this little voice that I've had in my entire life and driven me to the position that I'm in now, which is independent. And so I go to university not for the fame and fortune, but for the,
Just to rub it in his face.
to rub it in there. Yeah, that's right.
Have you got a T-shirt with his? Have you got a
I've got
T-shirt
a
with his
t-shirt that
face
says
on
that.
it? Yeah.
I have a T-shirt each time I go. There's a different T-shirt that I wear. Yeah, exactly. You know me very well. I've got my shorts on, and I've got my jandals on, and I'm there wearing his T-shirt. And it's like,
I'll add a slightly different viewpoint to that.
Good.
The ability to fail and to continue and learn is, yes, essential, but it is also privilege. It's probably the clearest lack of privilege is your ability to fail and then not have that be like a major impact on your life, right? Like, I was normally a good kid. I only got into trouble once at school, but it was something like
We were the class nerds, but
I hacked
sticking
into a
at us, you
computer
guys were the
system.
disruptive
Yeah,
ones.
absolutely.
Accidentally, I hacked into a computer system I shouldn't have had access to, just messing around, like trying to learn how the systems worked, right? That could have been an expulsion, And like if I had gotten expelled, I would be living I would almost certainly be like just like a working class
Different
kid.
life,
Like
yeah.
even as a white person, so still more privilege than other people, but not so much privilege that I could have been expelled and continue to, just get over it.
Yeah.
But I know people who punched teachers and had no impact on their life or schooling, right? Because they had the right sort of juice in society that was sort of smoothed over as, oh, well, he's just a good kid. But the reason I got away with it at all was because, in part because I was white and a good kid, and it was seen as like a temporary thing that could be swept under the rug.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Though there are behavioural and social failures, and then there are academic failures.
Yes.
Like, stop forcing a kid to take maths all the way to Form 7 if it's not their subject, and it never will be. Because they'll only feel the feeling of failure right till the end.
Stop making kids do group projects then. Right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's like the thing that I'm good at,
awkward.
that's super critical and everyone's
Everybody must
the
do
thing
that.
that I
and
am
then
bad at,
yeah.
that should be optional. No one should have to do it.
Yeah, so that's the problem, isn't it? And that comes back to that whole thing we were talking about before, is the people coming into different levels of coming into a course of any type of course, is they come in all different levels.
Yeah.
And that's like in my second year digital marketing course, I've got people coming in there that know way more than I do, and they're coming through and they're very polite in the way that they behave in the class, and they're doing it to get that certificate, to get a degree, to have those letters or whatever there to say that I do know. So there's those people, and then there's others, and so it's really hard to create the coursework for these people. And some students just scream at me going, there's too much here. It's like, well, yeah, I've only been given this, one course is like 150 hours of teaching that I've got for them. And that's both what I teach and what they do in their own time. And it's like, I'm going to try and teach you the entire thing called digital marketing in 150 hours. It's just like, this is impossible. And industry says that you have to be able to go in, you got to be able to talk about a job. So I'm doing it with real people. So my students are, completely, strip this person's website down. They've, rebuilt it, not with code, but just with frameworks of what it should be. And then created the, lead magnets and email sequences and social media posts. And now we've gone to that next level of now using AI to actually generate all those things with all this huge amount of iteration to make sure that it's not just slop. And have a backbone of the nuts and bolts, because don't want to talk about any platform because that'll be gone and it'll change. So it's just like this. So hard to know or to get the student inspired, and which bits do they take away? Where are you going in your direction? Not because, my direction in life has been, I have no idea. And
So
we've all got those, dude.
If we pivot then and talk about the marketing and component
Yes.
of your world,
Yes.
as you said, the change is just like phenomenal and so AI pressed. What are if you have them like rattling off, or even just at a guess, what are the things that don't change?
Oh, what are the principles?
Yeah, like
Yes.
there's
So
there's
that's
the
like,
four
can we
Ps,
jump
and
into?
there's the humanity side of it, the way that people buy and learn about products
Yes.
and respond to marketing changes so much.
Yeah.
The tools change, the distribution changes, the influence changes, but there are fundamental truths about the way that people buy.
Yes.
What are they?
Woo.
And let me get my notebook out.
Do you think this feels like what other people feel like when we talk computer shit?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just thinking, I was like, never been in this position before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have seen me last. Wow, here's an incision. We'll circle back to the fundamental truths about humans. You guys are also both consumers, so you can relate to it.
Absolutely.
How do you absorb news about new products? What is it that makes you click purchase at
I
each
just
given
listen to
point?
whatever Hamish says.
But we did start talking about AEO last week, and when you guys went off on like
Yeah. Tangents.
tangents about the mechanics behind search, there's a front end, which is a person who has a human desire to know something and they're buying based off what
A
they
problem they
really
have. A
Yeah,
problem they have.
yeah. So
So
those are two.
yeah. So this comes back to that whole thing you mentioned in my bio with the whole, stay, pay, refer type thing in some way. So I think there's some fundamental truths or fundamental things that haven't changed. And if anything, it's becoming more essential to have these either some sort of experiential physical thing going on or having this human in the loop type experience going on. I think that's really critical. So the way we search for things has completely changed. We don't go to Google, we don't ask our friends, we don't ask the priest, we don't ask the mayor, we don't even ask our friends so much anymore. Especially when it's that itch I've got from, the herpes or whatever it is that I've now got in New Zealand or whatever it is. We're not going to ask my friend, but we will definitely go and search, and we might go look at, our AI. However, it moves. We can't stay. I don't believe we can stay in that virtual world or that online world all the time. People try to, and I think that's going to kill society. We're already seeing society getting pretty crazy with the way people behave, like in a social media area. They become these just Nazis or whatever, I don't know what you want to call them, militant crazy people, but yet when you meet them in the real world, they're quite normal, it seems.
Yeah, that's just internet troll.
Just like they become,
isn't it?
yeah.
But a triol on a keyboard.
I think it was Penny Arcade. It was the greater internet dickwad theory. This is normal person plus anonymity plus internet equals massive dickwad.
Absolutely. You'll just go nutso. And that's not good. So let's not go down there for the moment, but we go back to, I don't know, let's look at what you guys have done. Let's just focus back on you guys with like Z Energy, for example. That whole thing with I drive up to the petrol station and, scan the plate.
It's wild to think that didn't used to even be a thing. It's so embedded in our lives.
But also,
no, it's only embedded in your life and anybody who goes to the Z. This is not normal everyday things that people associate with. This is really amazing thinking that you guys have done and implementation of that. But it's using both the physical world and the online world that we've got. And I think this is where we're going to, is this interaction. Being able to do that, is...
Yeah, we are progressing into humanoid robot territory with, the computers coming out of the box. Do you think that the change from bricks and mortar to online is a bigger change than online search to AI?
Say that again. So do I
So
think it's bigger to go from...
from
Or
going to a book,
the
Barnes and
shift
Noble, to
online,
getting a book on Amazon. So I still think that the shift to the internet is bigger than the shift from the internet to the internet plus AI.
At the moment.
Yeah.
I think if people go down that, some people want to do that transhumanism sort of type thing, and people are trying to make a sentient being out of AI or whatever dream that people have. I think that could be much bigger implications for humanity. But I think I agree with you. Yes, if the shift from physical to the internet was huge.
Yeah.
But the principles are still there that were from the physical world, the direct marketing, Dan Kennedy and others that had developed all that whole way of using print media to get people's attention and to get them to take an action. We've just taken all that and put that online. That is just all there in digital marketing. But I think the use of, you think about before you guys did before COVID came along, and then you got the project of having to do this COVID check-in app thing with a QR code. Prior to that, most New Zealanders were like, QR code? What's that? all the Chinese were like, QR code, oh, we know what that is. That's how we swap people's details. And
Do everything, yeah.
Do everything. We buy things. We do all these things. And they've been doing it for
Most of Asia, yeah.
yeah, most of Asia. Whereas here, it's like QR code. And remember, you go back only a few years ago to them with COVID, and people they're taking photographs of not just putting the camera in front of the QR code, but they were taking photographs
Yeah.
of the QR code. And I've done it. It's
The
like,
support tickets on that job.
it would have been huge, but I think as we've got more familiar with this offline, online stuff, that's where it's becoming really fascinating, I
Yeah.
reckon.
I was at Armageddon on the weekend and they had like a side quest and it was QR codes all around the environment and you were going around and scanning and racking up points to enter a competition.
There's a
But
whole
it was very strange walking around scanning posters again.
there's a whole sub thing that happened. Like, have you heard of AR or augmented reality games? Right, like where there's like a mix of like a game where it's a mix of like physical world stuff, but also digital world stuff that would be impossible if you were just focused on either medium, right? Like if it's just in the digital world, then it just feels like a video game, right? Like it doesn't feel like an AR is supposed to sort of feel liminally like it's part of the real world, not
Yeah.
playing part of the game. But you can't just go into real spaces.
But they're running around breaking their legs.
Yeah,
They have the
yeah.
phone in front of them.
Hey, look, some of us still do. Um,
Break your leg.
a lot of marketers have tried to use AR in novel ways, and it often falls flat. Like, you've got to have a great reason to use a novel technology as a part of a marketing stunt.
Although I think
It bleeds. So many can be just
Yeah.
in this, yeah.
one of the first games like that, which was Bees, I think that was a Halo marketing thing,
Yeah.
right? Like there was just like you just get on like public forums, people just be like posting about like, oh, the bees are coming for me or whatever. Like if you followed the threads through like physical and digital things, like people were like really like following the story of this game of like what's going on. I think it was a Halo marketing.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't do them, so it's I'm only hit them tangentially when I cross cultural paths with people who have.
Yeah, the marketing stunt for when I think if I come back to books is a really good example. And actually there was this there's a Kiwi author called I want to say his name's James Russell. He does this set of books called The Dragon Brothers or The Dragon Defenders. And one of the first novels he wrote, because he did like kids picture books, my kids were obsessed with them. But when he brought out a novel, he had an AR component to where you could scan certain pages and like a dragon or a book or some kind of clue would pop up. So I thought that was kind of a nice marrying of two things. Books are funny because I still find when I think about the journey to buy a book, especially a novel, my path to discovery is almost always starts with a recommendation from another person.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And it's the buying of the book that are you walking past a bookshop? Are you just searching for the cheapest book? People, when you talk about experiential and
Yes.
there are some
Experiential.
bookshops, brick and mortar, they build a full community and the way that they write their tickets and the staff is so lovely. Like, I'm not talking the big box retailers, but like Unity bookstores.
But that
Really wonderful community. And then you make the effort to go buy from them because you feel connected to their brand.
that's where I was
Well, you are
going a
connected,
little
not
bit.
you feel. You are. That's the whole. I think that's the future. I think is that community, whether it's local or very large, because we have very large communities. Think about it in the software industry, just massive communities, and you can feel very lonely in New Zealand because all that's going on up there somewhere in the States or the Northern Hemisphere, and you're like, what's something down here I got to talk to?
It's the past too, right? Like
Yeah.
the if you look at like because you were asking about like the transition from brick and mortar to internet and then internet to AI, my mind always goes to the cataclysms and risks because that's just the sort of brain I have, right? And thinking like why did those transitions happen? And part of it is it's interesting to look at from like a lens of trust or authenticity because I'm almost too old or too young to experience this, despite how old I am. But like brick and mortar, there used to be like individual shops where you would go in and ask the person what they recommended and expect to get a genuine answer from someone who cared about the product they were selling, right?
Absolutely.
So books, you're going to say, what's a good book? They wouldn't just say this one because it's the one we're getting the most kickback
Back
from the marketer or that we have extra stock on. They'll be like, well, what do you like? Okay, I know lots of books. I understand a little bit about you. I'd like this one. I think you'd like this one. But same with a hardware store, you'd go in and be like, I need to attach a 2x4 to a 3/8. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, then you want this screw, and here's how you attach it. Basically, every shop, right? And then over time, as brick and mortar shops got bigger and bigger, like you'd end up with like people going in and asking the salesperson at Noel Leeming, what TV should I be buying? And never getting a legitimate answer.
no
Like
idea.
everybody
Yeah.
just saying that one because that's the one that I make the most commission on. So it's
100%.
not obviously not saying that second part is sort of giving the game away.
And then, but
And
the other
it
side
drove
of
the
it, though, yeah.
it drove the transition to internet, right? Because
Exactly. You're done right.
Yeah.
And I think there's a throwback to that. If you think about, like, my wife would quite happily say, if you asked her, what's the most favorite store that I go to? Bunnings. By far.
That's everyone's favorite, isn't it?
I'm a Mitre 10 loyalist.
2 snags and a Ryobi,
Yeah,
one,
exactly.
and yet another Ryobi tool,
Yeah,
skin only,
Yeah, exactly.
because you got 9 batteries from
Skin on skin.
from the times you got really desperate and had to buy
Yeah.
the 3-piece
Yep,
set
yep.
with 2 batteries and a charger.
Yeah, exactly. But that, I think people or stores like that, Liquorland is another one, but as they try and insert those older retired guys into the plumbing section, into the building section, and to try and bring back some of that, because I think we
Yeah.
crave that. And Liquorland in particular, I've noticed that by where I am, there's Glen Innes
Yeah.
as a Liquorland there, and there's a Sikh that runs the store, and he knows his beers. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Probably, I don't know whether the Sikhs drink beer, I don't know. But he knows the beers really well. And so there's this stream of guys I've noticed when I've been down there, because I happen to hang outside the Liquorland store.
waiting to get sober enough.
Customer research.
See, that's why he's the best lecturer. I get it now.
But there's these guys that go in, and I've not talked to some the young sort of in their 40s and 50s, and they're going and buying 1 or 2 beers a week or whatever at a time.
Yeah.
Going daily, I don't know, but they're buying them, and on the recommendation of the guy there, and he'll do a taster of liqueurs and things like that. And I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she was saying that she was at another Liquorland store, and this seems to be a philosophy that they've got across all the Liquorland stores, is we're going to be experts like the old days, the English, store that had the person that if they didn't have it, they would say, oh no, the competition down the road, they have that
Yeah.
item.
They care more about fulfilling your need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is something people are hungry for.
Yeah.
It's just trying to work out how to make that cost effective, because you can't have an expert in every place.
The culture's almost shifted, right? Like, so for a start, there's so much cynicism that, like, my immediate thought is, okay, he's presenting good, but he's still selling you the beer that's getting the kickback from the brewery, right? Like, there's just so much cultural cynicism.
Yeah.
And I've never tasted it.
Both
Doesn't
things can
matter.
be true. I think about that as like you can,
this many beers.
and this is the thing we go through as marketers, is you feel a little bit like when I was at art school, the worst thing that you could be at the time was in the design department, because it was known amongst all the other departments, the painters, the sculptors, the photographers, that the designers were the sellouts. And here I am.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we felt, at least in those early days, that authenticity cannot exist alongside making a living or making money. And it's this anti-capitalist kind of like clash, because, the phrase starving artist didn't come from nowhere. So you do go through the struggle with marketing, but it's like you can build an authentic and empathetic relationship with your customer, and they can pay you for the expertise or the product that you're selling. And those two things can exist side by side. You don't have to be this just like money grabbing capitalist or this overly empathetic person either. And finding the harmony between those two, I think, is where the best things exist.
And I guess that comes down to omnichannel. And
Yes.
in that, like, Woolworths, 74% of all transactions are in store.
Yep.
I believe so.
Well, it's funny you bring up supermarkets.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, you go. I'm gonna
No, I was
do
just
that.
going to say with that, so you've got that whole thing, but you've got to cater for the person. Maybe it is the Hamish who's sitting at home and he's burning some long hours, like he was saying last night, and he's like, he wants something, so he buys it, or he gets organised or sees it online. Maybe he will fulfill the transaction after we leave here, and he goes to the Woolworths and physically buy, or he gets it delivered to him.
Yeah.
But you need to have both, and then there's shift workers and things like that when the store might be closed, and the 24-hour one is, I don't want to get it from Kmart, then that person, you cater for them.
Yeah.
But I think that in-store thing is still really valid.
Oh,
Because we
100%.
do love that, and until we get that AR, VR sort of type thing going to where I can touch and feel stuff or smell, and scratch and smell. Remember those books back in the day? Those kids' books. You can't do that through the internet yet. I mean, they're spending a lot of money trying to do that with gloves and things like that, aren't they?
One of the tricks that eventually got online supermarket shopping to work was when supermarkets started doing guaranteed freshness, that they'd take, like, because the very first thing was, well, I don't trust the person who's picking the fruit.
Yeah.
You're going to send me the worst fruit because why wouldn't you, right? Commercially, that's your incentive. I've already paid for the bananas. You get to pick which bananas you send me. You're going to send me the shitty ones that are nearly expired because
Yeah.
that's most commercially
And get
beneficial.
rid of it. Yeah.
It's funny to think back to those early days of like online shopping and HelloFresh and my food
Yeah.
bag, the building of trust to accept food to arrive on your doorstep. But what I think is a great strategy is when a master brand or a large company can build up multiple products or services to fulfill the multiple needs, acknowledging that a person has many needs. So like
Yeah.
when I think of foodstuffs is a good example. Have you ever been to the New World in Wellington? The one is it in Lambton Quay?
Yeah.
It is
Vision's
the
there.
most. Our Vision's there.
We're everywhere.
We're
Carry on.
everywhere. It is the most beautiful, enjoyable. Like it's OCD adult Disneyland.
Okay.
Have you ever been there? Oh my god! Hey,
No.
when you walk down the aisles, every single, like, imagine the chip aisle. Every packet of chips is perfectly plumbed and perfectly side by side and all facing outward. There are no gaps on the shelves.
You need to go to
Far out.
one of the fancy Thailand supermarkets.
Yes.
Like,
maybe
each
that's what I based it
individual
on.
piece of fruit is exactly equivalent and wrapped in plastic and held by a lady.
Oh, it's incredible.
Like, there's so many
There are
people in those
ladies holding
supermarkets.
fruit, but it is beautiful. And I actually saw an Instagram story the other day. An influencer from the UK had come over to New Zealand and he did a whole story about New World in Wellington because it is premium. It is beautiful. It makes you feel some type of way. And then you're like, I just need to save money and smash out 2 weeks worth of groceries. So you go to the pack and save and fill your massive trolley. And then there's another day where you're like zipping by the Foursquare. So it's like there is one customer with multiple needs and you have to meet them everywhere. And the digital product is helping that because it's the extra layer of like, oh, you've bought this thing 5 times over. It's on special this week. Yes, I would like my coconut milk at $4 this week, not $7, because that's irritating.
I mean,
Yeah.
focusing on price is a rational response to some of the commercial pressures, though, right? So I'll give you like why I focus on price. It's objective. I can say that is the cheapest price for this class of product available. Airlines always get picked on, right? So I'm just going to be kicking the poor guy who's already on the ground at this
I'm
point,
Brian here.
right? But
Oh man, did you see that?
Jetstar has bad
Yeah.
experience, but is cheapest. I've flown on premium airlines and thought, I can't really tell the difference. I certainly can't tell $1,000 worth of difference between this.
You didn't feed me $1,000 worth of stuff, and the toilet was thoughtless.
Yeah, the food was, I didn't get, like, by the time you got to me, you'd run out of the 2 good choices, so I had to put up with a bad one.
Smelly sock.
I still feel like I've been crammed in. I still feel like I've been disrespected by everybody in this process the whole way through, right? Get on here, don't get on here.
Take your shoes off.
Take your shoes off, don't take your shoes off,
Yeah.
right? The whole experience is already terrible. What I can tell with Jetstar is it was cheapest.
Yeah.
And so at least in that way, I've had some control over my purchasing decisions, right? And so in a culture of maximal cynicism and distrust of corporations, price is the only thing that objectively you can say. And now they're working on dynamic pricing and even removing that from the equation. So you never know whether you actually got the best price you could have or not. But it's, what drives me to select cheap things, because I just, like, if I buy an $80 t-shirt, it's probably still not hemmed good.
Yeah.
I-
Here's a question for all of you.
Yeah.
Do you think that in this day and age, the idea of voting with your wallet is becoming increasingly important?
I think it's become less important.
Yeah. The opposite. Yeah.
Really?
Corporations are perfectly happy to burn 20% of the purchasing. I mean, Google's an amazing example of this. They basically have no customer service, and they will delete your account and all of your data because an algorithm says you might not be the best customer.
I mean, for you guys individually, making ethical choices or just morally aligned choices to buy from particular brands or products or services, even if they're more expensive, because you ultimately believe that lining their pocket is of a greater good.
Everybody says they do, but the reality is
They don't.
they
always?
don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or is
And that
that
comes, especially if we put the sustainability label on that.
Yeah.
Everybody says it, and very few practice it. It's
Yeah.
straight research.
Do you want the truth or the truth?
The truth. And nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I go out of my way to try and buy and participate in things that I believe are ethical. I know that it costs me.
Yeah.
Like, it absolutely costs me.
If not in money, in time.
Money, time, all of
Yeah.
the above. And so, yeah, I just pay the tax because it's purely for my benefit. I know it has absolutely no effect.
But it
whatsoever.
makes you feel better, right? That's the voting with your
Yes.
wallet thing.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
know,
not, it's not a feeling of better. It was just like, it's just a values thing. I was like, well, if I'm not going to change, then how can I expect anybody else to change? It's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
So this is where I like AI search for products. If you're going to buy a product anyway, you can do more digging into where you're getting it from or finding the mix of cheap price plus ethical value alone purchase than you could do before.
For now.
Yes.
What do you mean for now?
Well, the end pops up.
Example, right? Because that was tying it back to that trust conversation earlier, right? Like, why is there such this willingness for people to trust this information to AI that they have not been willing to trust to other channels, right? It's because for now, AI seems relatively unbiased,
Yes.
right? Like, it doesn't have obvious commercial influence in the information it's giving you. They're not taking the fact that you're telling them about the problems you're having at home or with your work, or like the fact that you're getting them to write romantic letters to a potential partner, right? It's not saying, hey, you know what your partner would really like?
Yes.
Nike shoes or Coca-Cola, or right? And it would,
Because I know your partner really well.
it wouldn't have to be as
Like Gemini
explicit
could
as that.
probably
It
do.
could be just subtle shifting, right? So something that most somewhat controversial suppliers try and do is they just try and reduce the amount of times they're mentioned. They don't try and hide the relationship entirely. And so you wouldn't have to get AI to say this thing is incredibly ethically sourced. All they'd have to do is elide that information, not mention that this thing was, from this whatever the controversial region was,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't see it. And so people trust it now, but there's this strong commercial pressure to break
Coming
that trust.
rapidly.
Yeah.
And people think it's unbiased, right? But if Reddit is one of the largest sources of AI
Yeah.
information, I don't think this is a wild conspiracy theory, which I've done no research into, which I will. But I believe it's no surprise that Reddit for Business has exploded in the years since LLMs have become massive.
Yeah.
Like, they're actively pushing paid things. And I remember back in I don't know if you could ever call it the good old days of Reddit.
I've never been a Reddit user.
You've never been a Reddit?
You're not part of the 250,000 New Zealanders that
You've already
are
on
on
4chan?
Reddit.
No,
Oh, you're not a forums guy in general.
just Stack Overflow, and that's gone now.
It's all been sucked into the LLM anyway.
So where do you go
Just
trolling?
ask the LLM.
It's just on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, one day I just woke up and I stopped using social media because I was like, why am I fighting this bozo over whether tailpipe emission, over climate change is real?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, just do what you want. Like, you're an idiot. I'm not going to justify. I'm not going to try and work through your feelings.
Well, they're not going to listen to you anyway.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the
That's
thing,
the
you find
conclusion.
that
I was just like, okay, cool.
He's not
I'm
listening,
making
right?
absolute logical sense. Every single argument that you have is poorly grounded, and so I can debunk it. And by the time I debunk the fifth thing, you think I'm just being obstinate, when actually you've just got a poorly formed argument. And like, you know,
That's not what they're there for
No.
anyway. They're there for a fight.
yeah, exactly.
I
I
really
realized,
pick a fight, and you start
Yeah.
to, join them.
yeah. If I could just control alt delete on the internet,
Yeah.
that would be, it would be an interesting reset for humanity, learning what we learned so far. But yeah, there's so much good that came with it. Like, I don't think I would be a computer programmer. I don't think I would learn the things that I would have learned. I don't even think I would have been good at business, because there would be no, it took me years to build a network and learn from the people that I learned. And if I didn't have the internet, it would have been impossible. So I think I would have been stuck where I was. And I think a lot of people
have been happier. That's the thing. It's a very interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah. What's alternative
Every now
universe?
and then I just imagine living an Amish life. And I think if you had known nothing else, that's probably pretty happy.
Yes. The internet, probably the thing that's been most transformative for me is that it has broken down power structures
Yeah.
in a way that nothing else has, right? Like, if you think that corporations have control over your lives now, just look back to like 40 years ago when the only message most people got was the message that the corporations
Came through the TV, or through whatever that limited media.
Yes, right. The number of things that you just couldn't find information on, and if you went to talk to them, they would refuse to talk to you because you weren't part of the in-click, right? Like if you wanted to use a CPU, used to be they would not provide you the information for how that CPU would work unless you were signed an NDA and given them $1 million order, right? Like, and so all of the little hobby things, I mean, it brings me no particular value, right? Like, I'd probably spend way more money doing my own little personal projects than if I just bought something off the shelf.
Of course, but that's not the point.
The fact that I can do with it all, right, is because of globalization and the internet. Also, all sorts of other horrible things from them, but it's broken down power structures.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're absolutely watching a sense of shared reality collapse in real time.
Yes. But I also think we are of an age that it has not affected us. It has empowered us. It has provided opportunities. It's given you a whole job. It's given me to be able to
To be able to
do
stick
what
a
I'll be able to do.
teacher.
Yeah. Whereas I think with some of these digital native kids and things like that, it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of negative, like you saying, kill the internet. Just control delete would be really good for some of these kids. I think because they are just sucked into it. You think of all when we're completely off topic from what we were talking about, but it's more, things like the mental health of my kids at university is just awful.
Really?
Yeah. And they can't read. We talked about books and how you
attention
book
span.
text.
Yeah.
They can't read. Literally cannot read.
It's an attention thing, right? Like,
it's an attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they've got ADHD and the things are jumping all around on the page, or they've got dyslexia.
Best thing I ever did
or
was
whatever,
like,
and it's
stop chasing the dragon on replying to everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look, I didn't touch my phone for a whole weekend. I didn't reply to anybody, including "Are you alive?" And somehow everyone, the world didn't crumble. Like I just spent an hour and a half trying to remove a suspension control arm from a car that doesn't work. Like, I came out the other side with bloody hands and a smile on my face.
Do you
No,
have
just
bloody hands?
no, just you get little cuts and stuff.
You get
But
cuts,
it's
you get
yeah.
you rub the grease.
Just it's complete utter time dilation. You go from a world that is always on and like everything matters and it's 30 seconds to here.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just piss away a day watching Hill Street Blues, which is like an old 60s TV show. And you're just like, oh, yeah, no one died. Nothing happened. Yeah, I lost 4 hours, but I gained happiness.
Yes, exactly. And happiness, I think, is a commodity that a lot of people
Yeah. It was really,
chasing.
I was thinking about why I wasn't as affected by, because I used the computer a lot when I was a kid, but it was stationary. It was like stuck.
Yes, exactly.
So when I had to do something else, it was like you had to stop using the computer.
You had to walk away from it.
Yeah, you had to go outside and do something.
You couldn't take to the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that like complete connected, I think the only thing that we need to change potentially, because there's so much potential with AI and education and medicine, and it's just like, just get it off our hands. Like I think the smartphone enabled a lot, but I do fantasize about a world where you walk through the door and you just drop a phone in a bin, and when you're at home, they have to use a landline to get a hold of you.
I still have a landline.
And same with work. You get to work and then you drop the phone in a bin, and you know, we do a 6-hour day maybe because it's the equivalent of a 9-hour because you 9-hour ADHD day.
Those people sitting at the toilet, yeah, like on their phone.
So just continuously interrupt driven. Everybody's interrupt driven.
Yeah.
There's also a available capability of things you could do problem, right? Like I think about back to when I was a kid and I would spend like 100 hours playing a video game. I can't imagine spending 100 hours on something so unproductive anymore. But it's partly because there's so many things that are available to me now, right? Like if I was a kid and I stopped playing that video game, what would I do? Literally nothing.
There's
Like,
nothing else to do. Go to the library. Yeah.
Whereas now there's like so many things available to me that I could be doing at any one time.
Yeah.
And AI only makes it worse, right? Because you see these
Now everyone's like,
AI
you could start a business, and I'm like,
you can have
this
all
shit
these
again.
agents off right, in the background doing this. Yeah.
It's like the Amazon dropshipping business phase all over again.
Yeah.
It's like, use AI to start a business that can't scale. Like, fuck.
There are literally some days where I'm just obsessed that I'm like one idea away from my great ideas. And then I re-listened to the conversation Hamish and I had the other day, which is like, don't vibe code something. You don't know how many chocolate bars it's sending around the world on your
Although one thing I do want to try is like to get open core to just start a business and to make money.
Yeah.
Because there's a Facebook marketplace arbitrage. Like,
Oh yeah.
you can get a open core to like buy shit off Facebook and then like do research on the average price and then like
Oh, that's quite interesting.
like retake the photos.
You can
and-
give it that experiment. Have you seen, some people do this socially, like as a personal content creation thing. It's like there's a guy and I think he's saying going from $1 to a house, transaction by transaction.
Oh, yes.
I'm pretty sure there was also something like this on Atlanta, the TV show, and he starts off with one thing and then
joke.
you trade it up for the next thing, you trade it up for the next thing. So you can get open core.
It worked.
Yeah,
It worked once. The problem is that, like anything, as soon as there's obvious alpha, it's like as soon as there's obvious, like this is a gap in the market that you can take advantage of,
Yeah.
And you have a
thousand people jumps in and try and they're all willing to take slightly less of a percentage because they're still making, and you end up with race to the bottom and no one making any money really quickly.
Yeah.
And then you get sharks who come in and just like deliberately place Facebook ads that aren't wrong, but trick your bot into thinking that they're more valuable than they are, so that they can sell their shit to your bot for
And therein again, we come back to trust. You buy from people that you like. So maybe as we wrap up, because I think we're at about time. If you could pin your entire career's learnings
into a 3-word sentence.
into a prompt. Could you write a prompt for our audience on how to be the future marketer, the first future business leader?
Yeah, well, if you were that kind of is it, especially for your students, or if you think about students over the next 5 years, where AI is going to become ever more integrated.
Integrated, into life,
And the tertiary space may very well change.
Yes.
What's
It will change.
What's
guaranteed.
the thing that you would impress upon people who want to get into marketing or retail, or even just studying the kind of world of selling and referral in the AI age?
Oh my goodness.
What's the thing you can't do without public speaking? Rapport.
I think it comes down to them being able to stop and, like you were just saying before, like just disconnecting from this attention seeking thing and being able to engage your brain into what is it that I'm wanting to do, and try and do that process yourself, the first few steps of it at least. If nothing else, if I can get my students to, at the moment, is to get them to do some research themselves, to turn to the person next to them, whether it's physically or online or whatever, and brainstorm some ideas up, and then use the AI as some form of virtual assistant, then that would be huge. Because at the moment, what a lot of them are doing is shortchanging themselves by then straight to the AI. And that is just, they don't remember what they wrote because they didn't write it. They don't remember the context or anything like that, right? They can't they can't have a conversation later about what it is. It's gone. And if they start doing that with everything, especially if you augment it into glasses and everything like that, then they're gonna be zombies. So I think the key thing is somehow it's coming back to human. Look, you've got to be. It's your life. You're in control of it. What do you want? And you've got to move through that life with you in control. Now, there's all these things that are going to try and take control away, but I think that's part of our be human is to be human. I'm not answering that very well, but I think it is a thinking process that we are slowly losing.
Yeah. Thinking and feeling,
Thinking
which is the
and
human part of
feeling
it, right?
is part of the human. Yeah, psyche. Yeah, absolutely.
Human first,
Human.
loop second.
Yeah, I think that with nature, the thing I've found is like, it's like 4.5 billion years, and like everything's just real slow. There's a huge amount of value in doing things slow.
Yeah.
There's some things you want to do fast, like put out a fire.
Yeah, but doing things slow is exactly, and ruminate over it and think about it.
Yeah, that's the
and-
lesson I'm learning as AI takes over, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing with AI?" I'm like, "Not much." And then we've done some pretty revolutionary things in the business.
Yeah.
And they haven't needed us. There hasn't been any need for this frantic. There's a particular recent win that we had, and I was like, it's pretty much the only thing I did with AI last year, really, and it really counted. And I don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's a big lesson in that. You don't need to hit everything with AI. You just need to get it right.
No, and that's the thing I'm
Yeah.
seeing
And I'm
is that now I see it with myself is that you become reliant on this thing that's so fast at responding, and it seems like it's the truth, whether it is or not, because it has been written so well.
yeah.
And so you become more and more reliant on that. You're going to stop that brain process that is
Yeah.
like,
I'm slowly learning the value of going slow.
yes.
Yeah.
That could just be because I'm aging. But I'm finding, and
It's unlikely. It's more that,
go for a long walk through a mountainside and realize the rocks are
exactly,
200 million years old, and
It's
then it's outlast you. And then you go, what do you really need to do today?
I mean, that's people. You might have to cut this because it's a depressing note to end on. People talk about how we're going to end the world. World will be fine.
Yeah.
It's just
Gonna-
people that
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, whatever someone's like, we're gonna save the planet. I'm like, no, you've misphrased that. We're doing all of this to save ourselves. There's a clear realization that the universe and everything in it is gonna massively outlast us. And you think that the million-year-old plastics are a problem for nature? No. Nature's just gonna wait it out. They'll dissolve.
Yeah.
And she's full of much more dangerous things than carbon emissions. We're the fragile thing in this whole
I think
equation.
maybe the thing is being in the moment is learning to be in the moment rather than either chasing that. Like I look at with some of my business students, they're trying to chase a dollar, that I'm going to be there when they would actually stop and be in the moment now. You're in an environment at university where it used to be a place where you built friendships, where you built networks and things, because those networks, if you build them now, they will be there forever. But they don't seem to be doing that as well. Just as a side note, when we came back from COVID, it was very interesting. We were having students in the classroom, like especially in first year, where they were behaving like they're on social media, where they were attacking each other racially, as well as just being it was like, and we'd never seen this before, of people like outbursts of yelling at each other or wanting not necessarily the fisticuff, but it was getting close, and I don't want to sit next to you. You know.
Wow.
All the stuff, whereas before you quite happily mingle like we are now here. We're just sitting next to each other, cheek to jowl with different races, different things, and what's it matter that? Yeah, but they were like,
Agitated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agitated, and
Yeah.
and the proximity as well was agitating them, as well as that person was a bit different, or that
It's a form of, I've seen it as well. It's like a form of PTSD or something, like a dependency.
That's
Your
exactly
brain is just constantly in this agitated state, and you're
Need to get
You're at
back to
Leicester
that
City.
time of universities being the centre for thought leadership, coming together, starting the revolution,
Yeah,
being leadership.
I'm trying to not use the making Mayday, like
old man shit.
yeah,
stick
but
crap.
like, what does the better future look like? I think we should all be messaging, because I don't think what back in my day, this is how we used to do it,
Yeah,
is gonna work. It's never worked. It didn't work for our generation. It didn't work for our parents' generation.
yeah,
Like, why it would be dumb for us to just do that to the kids
yeah.
of the future. So I think we just need to paint what the futures look like. Like, yeah, I think that
Yeah, I
Doesn't
do
make
like
sense.
saying it though, right? For the same reason I suspect my mum said it, which is I don't expect anybody to listen to me, just like I didn't listen to anybody old. But what I would like to do is in 40 years, when you realize I was right, I can do my little I was right dance up
Yeah.
in heaven. And you can look up at me and go, fuck, he was right. And that's worth it.
Oh, they're there.
Yeah, nice.
So make an AI avatar for you. So yes. Simon, thank you so much for joining us today, for being our human. And I really look forward to hopefully talking to your students once again, because the world of AI and marketing, it's really, really exciting, scary, and wonderful, but always humans first.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Great conversations with you all. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.